Ray King has been murdered. Do you like puzzles, Mr. Wolf?
Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal are back as the estranged brothers in The Accountant 2. We already have the official trailer showing Affleck's Christian Wolf back in action. The original Accountant was a solid hit for Warner Brothers, earning $155 million on a $44 million budget. Now, director Gavin O'Connor is back, working from a script by Bill Dubuque. The Accountant 2 hits theaters on April 25th, distributed by Amazon MGM and produced by Artists Equity. To really get the most out of this movie, grab your best buddy or your brother and head to the theater. The Accountant 2 is all about Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal's brotherly bond. "I love Jon so much as an actor and as a guy," Affleck says about his co-star in the sequel, which took 8 years to come together. "I have a real fondness that I thought would translate easily into this sort of brother relationship." Director Gavin O'Connor has been pushing for a sequel to The Accountant ever since the first movie hit theaters in 2016. But getting it made wasn't easy. "It was brutal," he told Vanity Fair. "It felt like this flower that was ready to bloom, but it kept stopping and starting. It was so frustrating." The sequel spent 8 years in development limbo as studios shifted their priorities and moved away from smart, mid-budget action films. But at last, The Accountant 2 is finally happening. The sequel brings back everything fans loved about the first movie: big action scenes and unexpected twists, but this time it goes even deeper into the emotional side of the story. It really explores the bond between the two brothers in a way the first film didn't. "I'm a believer in that multiple things can exist," Affleck says. "You can do a movie for a big audience, and I think that's really the same thing as a movie with characters that seem real and that you connect to and care about." The first movie follows Christian Wolf, an autistic man who grew up with a strict military father who believed in toughening him up rather than seeking specialized care. His mother couldn't handle the situation and left, so his father trained him and his brother Braxton in martial arts and forced Christian to face his sensory triggers head-on. As an adult, Christian works as a forensic accountant for criminals, uncovering financial fraud while running a small accounting office in Illinois as a cover. A mysterious woman helps him manage his operations, identities, and business. He takes on an assignment auditing living robotics after in-house accountant Dana Cummings finds financial discrepancies. Meanwhile, Treasury Director Ray King pressures data analyst Mary Beth Medina into tracking down the accountant before his retirement. Christian quickly discovers that $61 million has been embezzled, but before he can identify the thief, Living Robotics' CFO is murdered. When hitmen come after Christian, he takes them out and learns Dana is also a target. He rescues her, stashing her in a hotel while he investigates further. Realizing Lamar Blackburn, the company's CEO, is likely behind the scheme, Christian prepares for a showdown. Medina cracks Christian's habit of using aliases based on famous mathematicians and tracks his movements to a money laundering office that also funds the Harbor Neuroscience Center from his past. King later tells her that Christian has secretly been feeding him intel and wants her to take over when he retires. She's unsure at first, but soon gets a tip about living robotics from Christian's anonymous partner. Meanwhile, Christian storms Lamar's mansion, takes down a bunch of hitmen, and ends up fighting his own brother Braxton, who works for Lamar. After an intense brawl, they make peace. Lamar tries to justify his crimes, but Christian kills him and promises Braxton they'll reconnect. In the end, Medina officially takes over as Christian's Treasury contact, and it's revealed that Justine, the director's daughter, is his secret partner. Dana gets a dogs playing poker print, only to find an original Jackson Pollock painting hidden underneath. The story wraps up with Christian driving off in his Airstream, ready for whatever's next. In The Accountant 2, Christian Wolf is brought in by Treasury agent Mary Beth Medina to help solve a case after someone close to them is murdered. To crack it, he has to team up with his brother Brax, despite their clashing personalities and years of separation. They haven't seen each other since the events of the first movie, which took place 8 years ago. Director Gavin O'Connor wanted more than just action this time around. "It was very important to me to make an exuberant, entertaining movie," O'Connor says of the sequel, which was written by Bill Dubuque. I wanted to make an emotional film, and also not just an action movie, which I would find wildly boring and uninteresting. An action movie that dealt with human connection and love was something that I really wanted to explore. Underneath it all, I think especially with Braxton, is just this unbelievable yearning to have his brother in his life, and this unbelievable loneliness that he's been trying to fill with all these very empty ways, says Bernthal. The first movie was a big deal for Bernthal. When The Accountant was filming back in 2015 in Atlanta, at the time, he hadn't yet taken on big roles in The Punisher, Wind River, or Baby Driver, and he hadn't won an Emmy for The Bear yet. He recalls one moment on set when he was in a sharp suit, holding Brax's gun, and caught his reflection in a window. Affleck was on a career high around that time. His directing took off after Argo won an Oscar in 2012, and he made smart acting choices with films like Gone Girl in 2014 and his debut as Batman in Batman vs. Superman in 2016. While The Accountant was a solid success when it first came out, Affleck says it really grew into a fan favorite over time. It was a movie that I found that I would hear about from people, he says. It was a movie that stuck around, and people would talk about and say, "Oh hey, I like The Accountant," and there seemed to be a lot of goodwill towards it. Both Affleck and Bernthal were all in for the sequel, especially since this time they'd get to work more closely together. In the first movie, their characters' rough childhood was shown through flashbacks, but as adults, Christian and Brax didn't actually meet until the very end, when their brotherly bond was revealed. The Accountant 2 puts their relationship front and center. With Brax playing a bigger role, Bernthal had the chance to go beyond his character's flashy style and tough exterior. And since no one sees through you quite like family, the movie peels back the layers of who he really is. Bernthal enjoyed diving deeper this time, saying that spending more time with both brothers together helps reveal what's real and what's just a front. At its core, The Accountant 2 is about two men searching for connection. There's a theme of loneliness throughout. Christian struggles with dating, while Brax quietly wonders why his brother hasn't stayed in touch. Christian may be a genius with numbers and combat, but deep down, he just wants meaningful relationships and friendships. Affleck found that kind of vulnerability an interesting challenge to explore. Of course, beyond the brotherly banter, the movie doesn't hold back on action. Christian and Brax weren't just trained to crunch numbers, they were also trained to fight, making for some intense sequences. The sequel also tackles the issue of human trafficking, which was one of director Gavin O'Connor's main goals. Balancing action, humor, and a serious topic wasn't easy, and O'Connor admits he wasn't sure if it all worked while filming. But once everything came together in post-production, he felt confident they pulled it off. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching our video, and please let me know what you think in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe, because we'll be covering more updates on this soon on this channel, and other exciting upcoming movies and series. We'll see you next time.